Yeah, it's still gory. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Time for some more Crusader, namely the sequel. Well, not really a sequel, more of an expansion pack according to the director and fans, but still a fun game as we'll soon find out in this video. So grab your silencer helmet and let's continue our crusade against the World Economic Consortium with no regret. Yeah, this is what happened when I first played this game back in the 90s. No Regret, like its predecessor, has no tutorial system. I guess the developers assumed that people who bought No Regret have already played No Remorse. It's probably a good idea I didn't choose No Regret difficulty for my first playthrough back then, otherwise this would have happened. Definitely a good idea now to look over the manual. You control the silencer the same way as in the original, with good old tank controls, with one exception. You can now sidestep and move forwards and backwards while crouched. Pretty neat addition. Also, if you want, I think there's a way to use your controller through the DOSBox config file. As a kid, I played through No Regret with the Gravis gamepad, although I don't think that was the intended way to play, and is probably the reason why I died more than I should back then. I also don't remember if it was any good or not. Oh well, just wanted a reason to show off the controller. Maybe someone out there is nostalgic for it like I am. Alright, just gotta choose a difficulty now, and this time we get a nice voiceover as we do so.
No regret. Loose cannon. Weekend warrior. Mama boy.
I went with Weekend Warrior just like in the original. Weekend Warrior is pretty easy in the first game, but not in No Regret. You really gotta be careful this time. Not like me where I run around like an idiot straight into enemy fire or something equally stupid. Medkits aren't as plentiful as in the previous game, so be sure to quick save and quick load often, and definitely be sure to keep many manual saves as well. Years ago, the game glitched out on me in the later missions and I was only keeping one save file for my entire playthrough. Oh well, lesson learned right there. Many weapons and gadgets do see a return to Silencer's arsenal, but you do get 3 powerful new weapons to play with. The BK-16, the LNR-81, and the XP-5. And just for fun, let's showcase all the possible death animations this game has to offer.
Come get some. Come to death.
Probably not a game for kids, but moving on now. The game has added animations compared to the original as well, at least in one case, such as the Silencer actually looking through his data link to brush up on his mission objectives. You also get many new toys to play with, such as a radiation shield, pretty self-explanatory, a data pick which lets you hack through keypads, a mine detonator which does what it says, a portable Betty, a VIR imager which lets you see laser sensors, and a spider mine. The game also has many graphical improvements, such as the icons in the UI getting a bit of a facelift, and new designs for the medical and energy stations. It's also worth mentioning that you are no longer locked into having 5 weapons like in No Remorse, and you can now use hotkeys to immediately switch to a specific weapon at any time. A very, very welcome addition to this game, let me tell you. But let's move on to the story, which is more straightforward than the original if you can believe it. Also, spoilers from here on out. Okay, I didn't cover the story in depth in my last video, but the Silencer pulled a Mission Impossible at the end of the game and saved the Resistance's backside by blowing up the Vigilance platform. As to what that is, well, it's kind of like a Death Star from Star Wars, but on a lesser scale. It's also worth mentioning that the Silencer was originally meant to be leading a team of rebel soldiers, but they were cut off towards the end of the game, so he ended up finishing the mission on his own, which is pretty impressive. Anyways, No Regret opens with the Silencer floating aimlessly in a life pod after the events of the first game. He's picked up by a WEC freighter by 2 workers who unfortunately get killed by the Silencer when he wakes up. But to be fair, one of them was armed and the other did cry out for the guards, and that's what I do when civilians annoy me in this game. From here, he makes contact with another rebel soldier named Denning, who gives the Silencer the task of blowing up the freighter before it lands on the lunar base, where the game is set. And the fact that he does so after pulling a Mission Impossible and sitting in a life pod with, I imagine, no food or water for a little over 46 hours is unreal. After the first mission, the game takes place on the moon instead of Earth, and the gameplay from the original is prevalent here. Shoot your way through soldiers and mechs, find keycards and passcodes to open doors, shoot any civilian workers to turn on alarms, the usual. Be sure to explore every nook and cranny for supplies, as you'll need it, especially for the higher difficulties. In here, no, just a guy taking a shit. Your mission objectives are basically to become a huge pain in the ass for the WEC on their lunar base. The main bad guy towards the end, Dragon, gets so mad he tries to blow up the entire base on the moon just to get rid of you and the rebels.
Chairman Dragon, what are you doing?
Putting an end to this rebel problem once and for all.
But you'll destroy the lunar base!
Exactly. Take her away.
I don't know about you, but I find that pretty hilarious. You do get a base to wander around in like a No Remorse, kind of. It's a lot smaller with not a lot to do, unfortunately. You'll be in and out quickly, and also unfortunately no Weasel merchant to buy weapons and ammo from. The Resistance doesn't have much of a presence on the moon, it seems, but new characters do make an appearance, however, as well as a few returning characters.
Thank you, Captain. It wasn't a bad piece of rescue back there.
All in all, a bit of a downside when you compare No Regret to No Remorse, but it does make sense with the narrative. It's a good thing the rebels have a Silencer to do all the heavy lifting. But the other reason, like I said in the beginning of the video, is that the director had all sorts of improvements he wanted to put into No Regret but couldn't due to a tight schedule. No Regret released barely a year after No Remorse in 1996. The game is slightly shorter too, with only 10 missions to complete compared to the 15 missions in No Remorse. The game is still fairly long though, and you'll see plenty of action in this game, that's for sure. For comparison, it took me 12 hours to finish No Remorse and 10 hours to finish No Regret. But to be fair, I was admittedly rushing the first game, so your mileage may vary. Just be sure to save often, especially for moments like this. This works. Oh shoot. Okay. What the heck just happened? Thankfully, it only crashed me once, but anyways, I may be biased since this was my first Crusader game as a kid, so I can look past its flaws. Except for the controls, they were pretty bad even back in the day. But whatever, this game is worth the trouble. So, now it's time to go play the third Crusader game, right? Well, no, there was no third game. There are plans for it according to this interview from Ultimate Codex in which they asked Jason Ely, one of the Crusader programmers, quote, "Were there more Crusader games planned provided Origin hadn't closed down?" In which Jason Ely responds, "There were actually 2 more Crusader games planned, Crusader No Mercy and Crusader No Survivors. No Mercy would have been the first Crusader to be launched under Windows 95. I was lead programmer on that. The graphics technology was all new and had a beautiful dynamic lighting system. We were also exploring a concept where we would embed 3D information into the bitmaps so we could calculate accurate lighting on 2D objects. Each pixel basically had a 3D point and a normal. A Silencer, when lit, would look 3D with specular highlights and shadows, and when drawn into another bitmap, would have a proper per pixel Z-sort. For the time, it was amazing. No Survivors was a multiplayer-only version of Crusader. It was a deathmatch game that would put up to 8 Silencers into a map and let them blow the heck out of each other. We had a working version with 2 or 3 maps. This version was running under a 32-bit DOS extender. So we'll never see a true ending to the Crusader series, unfortunately, as the game ends at a slight cliffhanger here. What a shame. Overall, do I recommend No Regret? If you like No Remorse, you like this game. It's that simple. And I almost forgot to bring up the soundtrack. It's just as good as the original. Not a whole lot to say there. I remember No Regret fondly as one of the few PC games I was introduced to back in the day. This, along with Dune, Riddle of Master Lu, Ultima 7, and Ultima 8 were the few PC games I dabbled in when I was a Sega kid in the 90s, and really opened my eyes to just what games were capable of on the computer. That said, it's a shame we didn't get a third game in the Crusader series, but life is full of disappointments. But that's all I have to say. Thanks again for watching, and maybe I'll see you again.
You're a hell of a one-man army, Silencer.
Captain, all these people are finally free thanks to you.
But we still have a lot of work ahead of us. And I'm sure that President Gauthier will not sit idly by while we're dismantling the WEC. Ilya.